Okay, we want to tell our kids that if you become the target, please let me or another trusted adult know. I want to know. I'm not policing every single place you go online. I don't know everything that happens to you. I want to keep you safe. I am your parent. I love you even if I'm not stalking you, and if something bad happens, I really want to know, and I will handle it in a sensitive, intelligent way. And kids don't want us to make too big a deal about anything, and they don't want us to ask too many questions. It's sort of like that if you get drunk at a party, I'll go pick you up and I won't ask you a million questions. Well, they know eventually there's going to be a conversation, but if the conversation doesn't have to happen at 2 o'clock in the morning when they are, not fit to be having a conversation, and they know the conversation that happens will be calm, they have a better shot of calling you. So the same thing goes here. If you have that relationship, then, and you just want to remind your kids, you are playing in the big world when you're online, and I don't know everything you're doing, so if something that's not kosher is happening or makes you really uncomfortable, please tell me. And the other thing I think is important for parents to know is it's okay to set limits. So, kids have been getting grounded for a gazillion years, and, I still think you can ground your kids sometimes. And, I think that the only thing about grounding and taking away technology is if you have a child who has trouble coping, and they can't pick up the house phone to call grandma or whoever to talk, I think there are times when taking away all communication can be a problem. I don't really know what the solution is, but I think sometimes kids really need to take a break. I think vacations are a great time to take a break. I think, you setting an example of separating yourself from your technology device at dinner, you've got to set the example, because we are all married to our phones. I don't like to charge my phone across the room. I really prefer to charge my phone next to my bed. Well, so I didn't even grow up with this as an appendage. These kids, they grew up with these as appendages. They certainly don't want to charge their phones in the kitchen. I think they need to, but it's really hard. So think a little bit about how you'd feel if somebody said to you, okay, well, you have to stay in Tampa and go to work and do your life, but you can't have your phone for 3 days because you were late to work yesterday, right? That is crippling. And very upsetting and makes you feel uncomfortable. With that said, we've got to set limits on kids, and they've got to know that we can do that. And I think sometimes you turn off the account and they figure out and they borrow a friend's phone, and it's uncomfortable and it's inconvenient, and sometimes that's okay. Okay, I don't really know about these, but I did sort of come up with this list of things that you might want to throw out there. So, I don't know, maybe one of them will be useful. Okay, so I'm picturing you're driving in the car, your kid doesn't really want to talk to you, but somehow they're in a decent mood and they're a little bit chatty. So you say, so who do you imagine sees what you post online? Or who do you specifically want or not want to see your stuff? And maybe, it'll get into a conversation of, I want people who know me to see my stuff, or I want people who don't know me to see my stuff. And that's an interesting conversation, in and of itself. We know Facebook changes their privacy settings every 15 minutes. Who can keep up with them? I don't know what my privacy settings are this week because I haven't checked them this week. And I sometimes want to say to kids, do you believe in privacy settings? Do you have them set? What are you comfortable with? So if it's friends of friends, and talking about what does friends of friends can see your posts mean? And, is that really okay? What I said before is just because someone is your friend or is following you doesn't mean they necessarily see all that you post. So it's something kind of to keep in mind, because again, kids have in their minds an idea of who's seeing their stuff, which may or may not be true. And it's really easy to forget, if it's really easy. I sent something to my mother last week, and she said, I can't believe you would do that in a public forum on Facebook. And I said, well, I sent it via private messenger, and I would never say that publicly. But how easy is it to press send when you didn't mean to, or say something in public that you meant to send in private? You should always sleep on it before you send it. That stuff happens all the time. And so talking to kids about how to prevent some of those things from happening can be helpful, and letting them know that you sometimes struggle with it as well. Okay, so kids have very strong views about online social etiquette. They can teach us a thing or two. So if they know what etiquette means, or manners, or what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, because we, I'm sure, do social media faux pas on a regular basis. Okay, I'm just going to wrap up here. Discuss what good judgment means. Remember that what you share could go worldwide, as in it can trend, and that's the good news and the bad news. And of course you want to discourage gossiping, spreading rumors, bullying, or damaging someone else's reputation. These are just things that we want to get out there. Yeah, limits and monitoring are just easier said than done. So we sort of talked about this already, and thanks for coming. Hi, we're done, and I can take some questions, and I think my partner in crime can come up and take some questions with me. So.